In retrospect, Super Mario RPG was an astonishing collaboration between Square Enix and Nintendo. Originally released at the tail end of the Super Nintendo era, this would be one of the major RPG releases from Square on Nintendo, right as they began to move their games from cartridges on the Super Nintendo to CDs on PS1. 27 years later, Nintendo and Square have come together again to release a remake of the RPG classic for old and new fans alike. Super Mario RPG isn't your traditional Super Mario game, and for all the better parts of that, it's one of the more personable and charming Mario adventures out there. The 2023 recreation is an equally beautiful and faithful adaptation that keeps the accessible and friendly gameplay with a fresh new coat of paint. The story opens up with the usual Mario plot of Mario needing to save Peach from Bowser, only now it happens pretty instantaneously. As Mario clumsily saves the day, the victory is cut short when a giant sword crashes through the castle they're in, sending Mario, Peach, and Bowser in completely different directions. From there, it's up to Mario to defeat more of the living weapons and collect the 7-star pieces to save the Mushroom Kingdom. It's a simple story that does take a lot of creative freedom with the Mario IP, having Mario do things he's never really done in other games before, and introducing completely original Mario characters. This remake thankfully maintains all of that and keeps the quirky spirit of the original alive and well. It was also the first time I replayed Super Mario RPG since it originally came out, and I'm happy to say its writing has aged pretty well for the most part, and luckily the game's writing and references haven't been altered much either. It reminds me a lot of Earthbound, but with the Mario IP only not reaching the high writings of something like Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Super Mario RPG is a pretty straightforward RPG and battle system that actually influenced many of the future Mario RPG outings in Paper Mario and the Mario & Luigi series. Battles are conducted in a turn-based system where you're rotating between your party members to attack classic Mario enemies from Goombas, Koopas, and a few originals too. The battles see the most refinement in this remake. Developer Arte Piazza has added a few more visuals that make it easier to time action attacks and thus land bonus damage more easily. Changing weapons between characters will differentiate your attack patterns as well, adding a bit more variety. Chaining these well-timed attacks is the name of the game for battles and typically will lead to most battles outside of the big boss fights feeling short and quick. Nevertheless, the core gameplay loop remains the same, but features more accessible gameplay mechanics. As Mario and his friends level up, you can invest your XP towards physical attacks, magic attacks, or HP that make your team stronger overall. In the same way Mario RPG could have been the introduction RPG for many kids in the 90s, the same can be said now off the heels of the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Even better is that the game offers the option to change the game's difficulty to your preference if you just want to experience this classic without having to worry too much about the combat. It's a very approachable game that follows a roughly 12-hour linear story across some familiar Mario locations and biomes, but equally you'll find yourself in completely original locations that seem to perfectly fit within the world of Mario. These worlds are beautifully recreated from their pre-rendered sprites into full-fledged 3D models, with new cutscenes rendered in-engine, looking like some of the best visuals on the console. Many of the backgrounds from the Super Nintendo version that got filled by a solid color now have a full background, making the final game truly feel like the way we imagined it looked. While I still think the original Super Nintendo version looks charming in its own way, the remake is no doubt beautiful as well, without losing much of that classic charm. Character models, textures, and shadows look sharp, especially for a Nintendo Switch title. This remake was made entirely in Unity Engine, and typically those titles on Switch aren't the most sharp. Beyond the graphics, these visuals retain and I argue elevate the personality of characters, from the new cutscenes to the funny moments where character models reenact situations. Performance is equally impressive, running at 1080p 60 in dock mode and 720p 60 in handheld mode, including the in-engine cutscenes that lack the deep compression so common in other Switch games. The one drawback is that the game lacks a triple buffer on the frame rate, so when there are hiccups in frame rates, it does drop harshly, but these moments are too frequent, like the moment at the start of the game that drops to around the mid-30 frames per second mark. Like its visuals, Super Mario RPG's music has been completely redone. I was curious to see how well they turned out considering the original music was so iconic. Luckily, the new arrangements don't change the songs too much outside of having more modern instruments and sounds to faithfully recreate the songs we all grew up listening to. Regardless, you have the option to play the originals instead too. It had been so many years since I last played Super Mario RPG that I was a bit worried it hadn't aged as well as I remembered it, and this remake would be my chance to see how well it had. I'm super happy to say that it continues to be a fun, charming, and memorable RPG that's a perfect introduction to newcomers of the genre. Furthermore, this remake is a faithful recreation that captures the atmosphere and magic of the '96 classic while elevating it to new heights with modern graphics and music. I don't think it's the best Mario RPG out there, but it continues to be well regarded for its unique characters, story, and world building, all of which continue to thrive in this remake, and would later inspire things from the Paper Mario series and the Mario & Luigi series. If you've never played the original, you can't go wrong with this one, and for those that enjoyed the first one, rest assured you'll enjoy this trip down memory lane.